Alright, hey guys, trying something a little bit new today. You can actually see me as I get to talk to you. So now you can hear me and you can see me all at the same time. Exciting. Alright, so we're going to look at Africa real quick. There's three major kingdoms in Africa that we need to kind of add into this Middle Age time period. And it's really going to occur in West Africa, which will be really important down the road when we start talking about exploration and the Europeans coming in, because there's a lot of wealth in West Africa. So as like other parts of the world, groups begin to take control and start new kingdoms. And the first one we're going to look at is going to be Ghana, and it's going to focus because of the gold and salt trade. So real quick, let me show you a map of what that looks like. All right. You have these three Western African kingdoms going on over here. You can see Ghana here in the middle. We'll talk about Mali here in a second, and then Songhai. But understand it's about gold and salt, okay? Obviously, salt as a spice, as a procurer of meats, it's going to be very valuable. And you can see in northern parts of West Africa, right along the Sahara Desert line, you can see where the salt mines were, and they become very, very valuable. And, of course, gold is a precious metal down below along here the Niger River. You can see, notice Timbuktu is going to be a major, major city that's going to be important for the trade, and it's going to fit right in the middle of all three of these major kingdoms that are going to happen there in West Africa. And of course the spread will go into Cairo, and if you notice the dotted line is moving past Cairo, and that'll also go along the Silk Road. You also have the roads going up into North Africa, which is going to connect into Europe, and of course the connections between West Africans and Europeans have been going on well before the slave trade. Okay, so let's look at the very first major kingdom, and that's going to be Ghana. And understand, folks, they're going to go in order: Ghana, Mali, Songhai. So if you can remember them in alphabetical order, it'll really, really help you a lot. So the first kingdom was called Ghana, and Ghana means warrior ruler. And of course, Ghana is still around today in Western Africa. Okay, so Ghana lasted a few hundred years. They were very, very popular, very powerful, had a lot of trade going on because of gold and salt. But they're going to be conquered when the Islamic kingdoms start to move westward and really start to take care of this, what's called the trans-Sub-Saharan desert trade routes, okay, which is going to be an extension of the Silk Road trade routes. Now we're going to start to get Islam moving in, and of course a new Islamic kingdom is going to come in and take over, and that new Islamic kingdom will be called Mali. All right, and Mali, as you can, if I go back to the map real quick, Mali is going to be much larger than Ghana was. It's going to have control of the Atlantic Ocean trade on this side. It's going to control from Timbuktu back into Morocco, and it's also going to work on this trans-Sub-Saharan trade route across Africa. Okay, and the reason that Mali is going to be so important and so powerful is because of a man named Mansa Musa. All right, here's a picture of Mansa Musa, a black African who is Muslim. You can see him in his Muslim garb. You can tell by this picture he is extremely wealthy. If I show you another picture of Mansa Musa, here's what Mansa Musa along the trade routes of North Africa, and you can notice southern Spain down here, which is also Islamic at the time, into the Mediterranean, and all the connections he made. And here is Mansa Musa seen as a very large king, and you notice all the gold, and that's really where he's going to become very powerful, is because of all the gold. And what Mansa Musa is going to be able to do is expand this empire. At one point, Mansa Musa is so wealthy that as he goes on his Hajj, his pilgrimage to Mecca, he brings 50 camel loads of gold with him. So wealthy that he is going to get to Cairo. And if you notice here, well, you can't really see Cairo on the map, but Cairo over here, Mansa Musa is going to bankrupt Cairo and actually put them into great inflation because he's going to buy so much there while he's on his route. He's going to go on his trade route. And a great storyteller about Mansa Musa is this man, a man by the name of Ibn Battuta. Ibn Battuta was a great early Islamic scholar who had gone on many travels across North Africa, across the Middle East, and across Europe to really look at the different cultures and how they interacted with one another. And even though he was Islamic, he is known for understanding the greatness of all these groups together and how important they actually are. So Mansa Musa is going to push, and the reason he's able to do that is he's obviously going to expand his empire through trade. He's going to protect that trade through taxation, and of course, because of taxation along the trade routes, he will become extremely wealthy. Now, unfortunately, for all kingdoms at this time, they're going to fall. Okay, and another kingdom that's going to take over is Songhai. And if you notice here on the map, Songhai, even though it's spelled a little differently, is the eastern part of the Malian Empire, and it's going to take over the central part of the trans-Saharan trade that's going to go on. All right, so Songhai is another Islamic empire. It's going to be a little bit larger than both Ghana and Mali. But the thing is, they're not going to be as progressive, so they're going to be overtaken very quickly. And the group that's going to overtake them is a group called the Moroccans. Okay, and understand where Morocco is. If I go back to the map again, all right, Morocco is this northern area of Africa that's going to come down across the Sahara Desert and really take over. And it's going to be those Moroccans who not only will control what is going on in the trade routes, but when we get to exploration down the road, they're really going to control the slave trade that's going to go on too. And one big thing about African slave trade is that it was Africans selling other Africans to the Europeans, and because of all these conflicts amongst Islamic and Africans, it's really going to kind of break them down and put them backwards. At one point, these three civilizations were extremely progressive and moving forward, and they're going to fail because of it.